It's 3 a.m. You're staring at the ceiling. Your phone is face down beside you because you promised yourself you wouldn't check it again. But the real answer to why you're awake right now is far stranger than stress, or screens, or too much coffee. It's older than language, older than fire. It's written into your biology by people who never once worried about a deadline. You think insomnia is a modern curse. It isn't. Your ancestors woke up in the middle of the night too. Almost every single one of them. For most of human history, sleep wasn't one long unbroken block. It came in two pieces. Historian A. Roger E. Kirch spent years digging through old diaries, court records, and medical texts from pre-industrial Europe. He found hundreds of casual references to a first sleep and a second sleep. People went to bed shortly after dark. They slept for 3 or 4 hours. Then they woke up, not in a panic, not reaching for a screen. They simply woke up, the way you might naturally wake up after a long nap. This waking period had a name, the watch. Some texts called it the watching hour. It usually lasted 1 to 2 hours, sitting right in the dead middle of the night. So, what did they do with it? They didn't lie there spiraling about tomorrow. They got up. They tended the fire. They talked quietly with whoever else was awake. Some prayed, some had sex, some simply lay in the dark and let their minds wander, half dreaming, half thinking, in a state psychologists now associate with unusually vivid and symbolic thought. Then, when the body was ready, they drifted into a second sleep that carried them to dawn. Why did this rhythm disappear? One word: light. Before artificial lighting, darkness lasted 12 to 14 hours a night for much of the year, especially in winter. Nobody can physically sleep that long in one stretch. The body simply isn't built for it. So it split the night in two, with a buffer of quiet wakefulness in between. Then came gaslighting, then electric light. Suddenly humans could push bedtime later and later, compressing those 14 dark hours into 8 artificially lit ones. The two sleeps got squeezed until they merged into a single block. By the early 1900s, segmented sleep had all but vanished from cultural memory. Doctors started calling the leftover habit of waking at night a disorder, a malfunction, something to medicate away. But here's where it gets stranger. In 1990, psychiatrist Thomas Wehr ran an experiment that accidentally rediscovered the ancient pattern. He put a group of volunteers in a room with no artificial light for 14 hours a night, mimicking a long pre-industrial winter night. No phones, no bulbs, just darkness. Within weeks, every single participant's sleep split in two. First sleep, a quiet waking period in the middle. Second sleep. Their bodies, with zero instruction, reconstructed the exact rhythm Kirch had found in centuries-old diaries. Nobody taught them this. Their biology already knew it. That waking window wasn't wasted time. It was doing something. Researchers studying sleep architecture have found that the period between two sleep cycles tends to follow a stretch of REM-heavy, dream-saturated sleep. People who experimentally rediscovered segmented sleep reported entering that midnight gap in an unusually calm, meditative state. Some compared it to being half awake inside a dream. It's a strange hybrid window where the analytical, worrying part of the brain hasn't fully switched on yet, but consciousness has returned. Historically, this was prime time for storytelling, quiet conversation, and what some researchers now call liminal cognition, the kind of loose associative thinking that produces unexpected ideas. Now think about your own 3 a.m. waking. Your heart starts pounding. Your mind grabs the nearest worry and won't let go. Why does it feel so different from theirs? Because you're doing something they never did. You're treating the wake-up itself as the problem. You check the time. You do the math on how many hours you have left. You feel a jolt of failure for being awake at all. None of that existed for someone in 1600. Waking at midnight wasn't broken sleep to them. It was simply the next part of the night. Your ancestors had no anxiety about this gap because no one had told them it was wrong. You, on the other hand, are operating with a deeply ingrained modern script that says continuous, unbroken sleep is the only normal kind. So your nighttime wakings, the very same biological wakings your ancestors had, get reinterpreted by your brain as a crisis instead of a rhythm. There's a deeper layer here too, one anthropologists have pointed to when studying small-scale societies that still sleep without artificial light. Carol Worthman, who has spent decades researching sleep across different cultures, found that many traditional groups don't even have a single word that maps cleanly onto the English idea of going to sleep as one continuous event. Sleep, in these communities, is closer to a porous, social, segmented experience, woven through with brief wakings, low murmuring conversation, and shifting positions around a fire. The Western expectation of 8 uninterrupted hours alone in a dark, silent room is, historically speaking, the unusual arrangement, not the night waking. So if your modern life doesn't allow you to light a fire, talk quietly with someone, or wander your house in genuine darkness at 1 a.m., what can you actually do with this ancient pattern knocking at your biology? The first thing is simple. Stop treating the waking as failure. When you surface at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., your body isn't betraying you. It's doing something it has done for hundreds of thousands of years. The panic about being awake is the modern part. The waking itself is ancient and, on its own, harmless. The second thing is to give that window something gentle to do, instead of something stimulating. No screens, because blue light tells your suprachiasmatic nucleus, the brain's master clock, that morning has arrived, which suppresses the melatonin your body still needs for that second sleep. Instead, something closer to what your ancestors had. Dim light, quiet thought, maybe a few minutes of slow stretching or breathing. The analog equivalent of tending a fire. The third thing is patience. Segmented sleep wasn't an emergency. It was a known, expected, almost comfortable part of the night, with its own name and its own rituals. The watch wasn't something people endured. It was something they lived inside of briefly, before sliding back under. Tonight, when you wake up at some unholy hour and your first instinct is to spiral, remember the watch. Remember that for most of the time humans have existed, this exact moment, eyes open in the dark, mind drifting somewhere between sleep and waking, was not a malfunction. It was the rhythm itself. Your ancestors weren't fighting it. They were simply living inside the second half of the night, waiting, like you are right now, for the first light of morning.